Hello, hello. We meet again here in this space, in this time and momentum of now, as we perceive it in this currency of our time space continuum. As always, my name is Tara. I go under the handle of Terrestrial Aura. You can find me on most social media platforms under that handle. So I thank you as always for being here. And I am here today, always, as of course, under the terms and conditions of my son Aldrich, if he'll allow me to continue this recording while he sleeps, if he stays asleep. So yes, why I am here today is an interesting topic, something that goes hand in hand with our current world and the state of our environment in which we live in. And I don't know if any of you here have been up to date with the current things that are happening in our reality, or if you're more of the energy of block it all out and hope that it just goes away. But either way, I have been in awareness while also not letting that awareness consume me to where it controls and has a tide to pull on my emotional field other than the emotion to create something of this matter to share with you guys here in this space. So we are currently facing an interesting time in the world where there are a lot of war tactics, a lot of things, a lot of controversy between entities and groups and religions and countries and people and places and things. And if you look from the biggest scale to these war times that are going on between Ukraine and Russia, and then also all of the things going on with Taiwan and China trying to pretty much control that area, blocking it with their ships, or whether it be the recent encounters with all of the things that have been going on with Israel and Iran, or whether it even be, let's go to another place. It could even be the issues that are going on in the Middle East in general, and all of the many things that are happening, right? There's just so many of them. And that's on a bigger scale. And then we look at the other side of the spectrum, civil wars going on amongst people. We currently have an open border. There are threats of terrorism on a daily encounter to where we're at a high risk. DEFCON is at level 2 as of the moment I'm recording this. Just so many things. And then just think, you can go on a social media platform and be challenged with your belief, and then there's another thing to argue. Something, whether it be something about, like, say, people having some agenda, bringing it forth and to schools for education, or the vaccines, the everything, the FISA, the spying, literally spying on American citizens for any kind of belief that is being brought to awareness that they could potentially hold a threat against America. And it's absolutely absurd, guys. It's absolutely absurd. And I've really been delving into the energy of how we get here and how these things happen. Aside from the cycles of astrology, aside the many different things that we can factor in, one of the things I have been really deeply, heavily noticing is the connection to beliefs and how emotions are pulled to pull people against each other, and how this seems to be something that's been happening throughout history. We live in a world that has always been in wartime. Even the stories of our own creation itself, in every single culture, it seems, is based off some war of good and evil. So could it be that our world revolves around this structure, this good and evil, this good versus evil? Maybe there's some cosmic pull that we must be aligned to that structure of the duality just for us to stay in existence in the resonance of the harmonic field to keep us in space. Who knows, right? No one knows. There's theories, there's ideas, and there's concepts. But the thing is, there's no actual evidence of anything other than the things that we have concocted and put together to make sense of our reality. And with that being said, these wars, these fights, these things that are pulling people against each other, mainly due to belief, as I mentioned before. These things are all based off of something that someone at some time has conceptualized to make a belief, when in all reality, in all only truth, we know nothing of what really, truly is. There is no one on this plane of reality that is able to fully tell us in a factual matter of what is, what we are, how we were created, what this is, how this is, who this is, other than what we choose to believe. Now tell me, is a belief something worth fighting for? Is your truth the only truth? Or do other people hold truths too? And do other people hold perspectives of their reality in the way that they are foreseeing and believing and existing? And is it okay that maybe not everyone believes things the same way that you do? I think so. I personally don't mind at all if someone believes differently than me. And in fact, I love a good challenge of the mind, to be able to show something to me, to be able to give me an insight to see a different concept beyond the belief and the structure I've set for myself. Because whenever we set these structures of ourselves up so tightly and so wound in a way to where they're so hard to unwind, then most likely we are giving ourselves no room to grow, no room to expand on any said belief. And we're cultivating ourselves into this culture of a society that feels that if someone thinks or sees things differently from ourselves, that they are so wrong that they deserve to no longer be here with us on this plane of reality. Is that the world that we live in? Do we really truly live in a world that is controlled by emotions that are pulled by some higher power, but not a source of a creation, but instead humans just like us that have power through a currency, through money, through something that we've given a belief to begin with, that isn't even a truth itself, simply an egregore of something that we all believe to exist? Just like the concept of all the beautiful beliefs that are out there for people, all the different beautiful religions. I have no problem with those beautiful religions and things that exist to give people hope and to give people faith. But when I see that those are the same exact things that are tearing people away from each other and tearing people apart, forgetting about the humanity of our nature and the nurture of the kindness of our human as a species, then that is when I start to question these things. And it's when I start to realize how happy and how grateful I am to have none of those things, to not be a part of those religions, to not be so tied into a concept of some belief that I can't even have an idea of someone else's without thinking that they are going against me and targeting me as a human, as a being, as an entity here such as they are. Because to me, that is a tainted society. And that is a society that is at war with itself so internally that it can only externally reflect the same cycles continued. Because whenever you continue to feel so much hate for others, and you do it in the concept of believing that it's for love, because of your belief, because of your truth being so much more valid than another person's, it's like, do we even hear ourselves? And then you see people speaking about ego as if ego is something so evil. What if religion and those beliefs that we hold are nothing more than the ego? Because what if our soul knows nothing of that matter? The soul is here to experience life as self. And if life itself is meant to be experienced, holding on to a belief of something that is holding you back from experiencing life, because it can go against the belief in which you are attuned to, then is the self even experiencing the self in its own awareness? Or is it believing and experiencing itself in the awareness of a belief that was set before it ever even existed in the plane of the reality in which it is at this current momentum of now? based off of some agenda of whoever, whatever, put this idea together, this concept, this belief together in hopes of giving a hope, I hope. But was the hope ever to give a hope? Or was it to just keep people separated, just like languages, just like continents, just like countries, just like races? We live in the most torn apart world. And even the thought that there is a concept of some dark agenda of a new world order that people speak of. And when all reality, what do we need more than anything? A new order to our world. But the thing is, we are fed the wrong side of the story, because in a real world that wants to see progress, we would all be shooting for this. We would be going for that as the objective, a new world order, an order in which people are treated fairly, we are equal, there's no suffrage, there's clean water, clean food, there's assets and resources for everyone, because this country and this world has all the means that it needs to be able to give and provide for all. But instead, we look at the new world order the way we've been programmed to see it. The way that the elites are coming in and taking over everything as if they already haven't. Where the elites are coming in and declaring that we're all under one group of whatever it may be, which we already are. Think about the people who run this world. The Rothschilds, the 1% of the population. All of these people, the Soros of the world, these darker entities that we perceive. But is it that these people are so much darker, these entities? Is it that they're so much darker? Or is it just that they're aware that when you have control over people's emotions, you give them beliefs first, and then those beliefs are held so strong that anything that tugs at those beliefs also tugs on that emotion, and that emotion creates a chain effect. It's a blockchain. It's no different than cryptocurrency. It's all an energy exchange where one thing is tugged, another thing will move. And what we're doing right now is fearing a change, because the change in order is of the hands it's already being exchanged in. And we're unaware of just the most obvious simplicities of this cycle. That the only way to see a change is to realize that our perspective must change. For us to be able to see another person as simply being a human, simply experiencing life on the terms in which they had the conditions to do so. And maybe, just maybe, we can start realizing that we're not so different after all. We all stand for something. So why not stand together and stand against what is against us? What has put the seeds implanted inside of us to make us all have stems of hate? Guys, this energy is intense. And like I mentioned before, I'm not going to let it consume me, and I haven't let it consume me. However, there are things that need to be said. There are questions that need to be asked. And until we start asking those questions and start challenging ourselves, just like the song by Florence and the Machine. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with it, but the song Shake It Off. My partner Grant, he was looking into a song that would represent the energy of the day, and that was the song that came. And I can honestly say that is a perfect depiction of what's going on right now, because we're so set in beliefs of our own and of what we've been taught and what we feel is right because of the program that we've received, that we are willing to fight so hard for something that's not fighting for us. To be honest, it's just not fighting for us. Everything is fighting against us. But whenever we can seek that divinity inside of ourselves, we won't be looking for heaven and finding the devil in us. But instead, we'll be finding the heaven is us. The heaven is our peace on earth. But we're unwilling to find it when we're always in the chaotic attunement, which isn't even an attunement, it's a resistance against our planet, against this beautiful living, breathing species that we are a part of, that our DNA was perfectly enwoven to be able to be here at a higher octave, to be able to experience consciousness and a state of awareness in this beautiful cycle of life that we are living as it. But instead, we choose chaos. We choose to fight. We choose to take lives. Why? That's my question. And that is the end of this podcast. I thank you so much for listening. And I ask that if you enjoyed this, to give it a like, share it somewhere in the world of the internet, and leave a comment if you'd like. I thank you so much for being here. I hope that you'll subscribe, and I hope that I'll see you or hear from you soon. And I'll be back with another video when the time aligns for me to be. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Moments of Now.